Let's begin with the big picture. When people talk about Salesforce today, they often jump straight to the numbers, the valuation, the dominance, the logo you see everywhere. But none of that makes sense unless you rewind to the moment captured on this first slide. Marc Benioff wasn't trying to build another software company. He was reacting to frustration. Enterprise software in the late 90s was slow, expensive, rigid, and painfully out of touch with how people actually worked. As this opening quote hints, no software wasn't literal. It was philosophical. It was a rejection of complexity for its own sake. As you move into this presentation, keep one question in mind. What assumptions in your industry feel unquestionable but maybe shouldn't be? Now, as this next slide lays out, here's what we're going to unpack together. Not tactics in isolation, but a pattern. Why Cloud CRM was such a radical bet when almost everyone else dismissed it. How customer success became a growth engine instead of a support cost. Why marketing, culture, and even philanthropy weren't side projects but structural advantages. This isn't history for history's sake. It's a lens you can apply to your own work. Before Salesforce, there was a trap, and this slide names it clearly. Enterprise software trapped both buyers and builders. Companies spent millions up front, locked themselves into years-long contracts, and then bent their processes to fit the software. Innovation crawled because switching costs were brutal. If you were an established player, that felt safe. If you were a customer, it felt suffocating. This is exactly the kind of environment Clayton Christensen warned about in The Innovator's Dilemma, where incumbents optimize for existing customers and miss the next wave entirely. And here's the first real insight. Salesforce didn't win by being better software at first. It won by changing the model. Lesson 1. Bet early on the cloud. As this slide shows, Salesforce replaced ownership with access. No servers, no massive installs, just log in and go. That single shift collapsed friction. It lowered upfront cost, shortened sales cycles, and made experimentation possible. Companies that could never afford traditional CRM suddenly had one. And here's the quiet part. Once customers experienced continuous updates and flexibility, there was no going back. That's how Salesforce crossed $1 billion in revenue by 2009. If you want to follow this more closely with frameworks you can apply step by step, you'll find a downloadable PDF linked below. And if this kind of strategic breakdown is useful to you, make sure you're subscribed because the deeper lessons build from here. Lesson 2 shifts the focus inward toward customers. Notice how this slide frames it. Customer success wasn't a department, it was the strategy. Salesforce realized early that recurring revenue only works if customers actually win. So instead of asking, how do we close more deals, they asked, how do we make sure customers get outcomes? Dedicated success teams, constant feedback loops, product evolution driven by real usage, not assumptions. This mirrors the thinking in the lean startup. Retention beats acquisition when learning is continuous. That's how Salesforce built loyalty that competitors couldn't buy. Then comes lesson 3, and this is where things get uncomfortable, in a good way. Salesforce didn't whisper into the market. It disrupted the conversation. No software wasn't a feature comparison. It was a provocation. As this slide highlights, Benioff created a clear enemy. Complexity. Protesting at conferences, hijacking attention, turning launches into cultural moments. Guerrilla marketing worked because it was aligned with a real pain people already felt. The takeaway here isn't to copy the stunts, it's to ask, what truth are you willing to say out loud that others avoid? Lesson 4 zooms out to culture. Growth exposes cracks fast. Salesforce chose to design culture deliberately, not hope it survived scaling. Ohana wasn't branding. It was a framework for trust and accountability. As this slide shows, values weren't posters on walls. They shaped hiring, feedback, and decision-making. Jim Collins captured this perfectly in Good to Great. Culture sustains momentum long after strategy is set. Low turnover, employee-led innovation, and long-term execution strength weren't accidents. They were built. Lesson 5 surprises a lot of people the first time they hear it. Philanthropy wasn't an afterthought. The 1-1-1 model hardwired giving into the business itself, 1% of equity, product, and employee time. As this slide shows, the result wasn't just impact, over $500 million donated, but alignment. Employees felt purpose. Customers trusted the brand. Salesforce proved that values and scale aren't opposites. They can reinforce each other. Now we arrive at the practical turn. This slide isn't inspirational, it's operational. Audit where friction slows your customers. Design for adaptability, not control. Measure success by retention, not hype. Clarify values before scaling forces the issue. These aren't abstract ideas, they're decisions you can make this quarter. The Salesforce pattern works because it's cumulative. Each choice compounds the next. And this brings us to the reflection slide. Take a moment with the question on screen. Where are you protecting an old system instead of building something better? This is the heart of the obstacle is the way. Often the thing you're defending is the very thing holding you back. I'm curious, what's one system, belief, or habit you've outgrown but haven't let go of yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them, and the discussion always adds another layer to these ideas. Finally, we close with the pattern itself. Vision creates direction. Customers create momentum. Values create endurance. Salesforce didn't succeed because of a single insight. It succeeded because these elements reinforced each other over decades. And that closing quote matters. Success isn't a destination. It's constant reinvention. The moment you stop questioning your assumptions, someone else starts building the future you missed. If you want to make this actionable, grab the PDF in the description. It's designed to help you apply these lessons step by step. Subscribe for more breakdowns like this and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. The real question now isn't what Salesforce did, it's what you'll choose to rethink next.